We stopped for a girl on the shoulder after midnight, and before she got in, she said my name and my wife's name like we were late to our own car. We were cutting across 3 states overnight to beat morning traffic. 2 thermoses of gas station coffee. 1 playlist looping the same 5 songs because the signal kept dropping. Long straight highway, no towns, no billboards. Just the white dashes ticking by under our headlights. The kind of drive where the road hum gets inside your head and you start counting reflectors to stay awake. Rain had come and gone in thin sheets. The asphalt carried that wet smell like hot coins and diesel. The wipers squeaked on the dry passes, smeared on the wet ones. My wife, Erin, had her feet on the dash and a blanket around her legs. She was scrolling old photos with that absent smile she gets when she is tired. It was past 1 when we saw the figure up ahead, a small shape in our lane's shoulder. No car, no hazard lights, just 2 pale arms hugging a backpack, the retro kind with canvas straps. The person turned as we drew closer, and the beams washed over a young woman in a soaked jacket. She blinked through the glare, hand up to shield her face. I eased off the gas and rolled past because that is what you do when you are not sure yet. She watched us go with a look I will never forget. Not angry, not begging, more like recognition. Like we were the ones she had been waiting for. "Don't," Erin said softly. Then, "Wait, back up." I pulled onto the shoulder, gravel popping under the tires, and we reversed until the girl came back into the cones of light. She stepped closer, but not too close, hands where we could see them. Her lips were blue at the edges. Rain made a shiny line down the bridge of her nose. She leaned toward my window and spoke in a steady voice that did not match the shiver in her jaw. "Thanks for stopping, Lucas." "Hi, Erin." Cold poured through me. Erin's hand gripped my forearm. "How do you—" "Please," the girl said, eyes flicking past us to the empty road. "I won't take you out of your way. I only need until the next lit exit. There's something you're going to want to avoid." Something in the way she said that last word, avoid, hit my nerves like static. My mouth went dry. Her backpack dripped onto the shoulder, water pattering around her shoes. She kept her distance, respectful, like someone who had practiced not spooking people. "Where's your car?" I asked. "I don't have one," she said. "Not anymore." We sat with the engine idling, wipers knocking slow. Then I hit the unlock button and pushed the rear door open. The girl slipped in without a rustle. She moved like someone trained to make less noise. The smell that came with her was rain and road dust and a faint hint of old perfume. Clean, but not new. She clicked the belt and folded her hands in her lap. "My name's Mara," she said. I pulled back onto the highway. The tires hissed on the wet blacktop, then settled. Erin turned in her seat to study our passenger in the mirror. Mara stared straight ahead at the stripe of road. "How did you know our names?" I asked. "You told me," she said, toneless. "When?" She pressed her lips together, and for a second I heard only the thrum of the tires. "Not yet," she said. A shiver went through me that had nothing to do with the rain. We drove. The sky was a low lid. No stars. The mile markers were those thin green tabs that flash and vanish before your brain reads them. The dash clock ticked useless minutes. Erin tried normal questions. "Where are you headed? Are you okay? Do you need to call someone?" Mara answered without detail. "Just past the river." "I will be." "No." After a while, she leaned forward, chin near the gap between our seats. I felt her breath on my shoulder. "Don't take Oak Ridge exit," she said. "Stay on the main, even if you see lights, especially if you see lights." "We weren't planning to," I said. "We're staying on 40. You will be tempted, you will think it's faster, and you will see a red coupe on the shoulder with the hood up. You'll think you can help. Don't stop, please." The word "please" sounded like she was old and tired in a way that had nothing to do with her face. "Why?" Erin asked. Mara sat back, hands still folded. "Because they don't want help, Erin." My knuckles were white on the wheel. The hum in the cabin got louder, or maybe it was in my head. We passed a drainage dip and the car lurched and settled. The wipers knocked. The side windows pebbled with rain again. Far ahead, the black line of trees thickened. The highway curved right. A tall green sign rose out of the dark reflective letters catching our beams. Oak Ridge, next right. Aaron looked at me. I kept left like the sign was a dare. Then, up ahead on the far shoulder, a tail light blinked. One quick flash, then another. A car hunched in the dark with its hazard lights off and its trunk lid cracked, just enough to show a black mouth. Our high beam slid across a small body shape in the driver's seat, head down. A red coupe. Hood up, Mara's breath hitched, and in the mirror I saw her eyes go wide like she was seeing something else layered over the scene. More cars? More people? A memory? I could feel her shaking even though she did not move. "Keep going," she whispered. "He's not alone." That was when the coupe's dome light clicked on all by itself. No one sat up. No door opened. The light just came on and stayed on, a stupid yellow square that made everything worse. I passed it without slowing. In the mirror, for the length of a heartbeat, I thought I saw a shape unfold behind the trunk. Tall, shoulders wrong, arms too long. Then the curve of the road took it out of sight. The breath I had been holding emptied in a rush. "Good," Mara said under her breath, more to the darkness than to us. "Good, good." Aaron swallowed hard and finally asked the question that both of us were trying to grow around. "Mara, why do you know us?" Mara watched the windshield. She pressed 2 fingers to the glass like someone checking for rain. "Because last time," she said, "you didn't stop." The hair on my arms lifted. "Last time?" I waved, she said. "You looked right through me." The car's cabin felt too small. The heater clicked. A faint rattle in the door panel found a rhythm with the wipers. My mouth had that tin taste that comes with adrenaline. I wanted to ask what she meant, but my throat would not cooperate. We drove on in a tunnel of high beams and wet air. 3 people listening for a sound we could not name. Then, behind us, something slapped the rear glass, flat and hard, like a wet palm. Aaron jerked half around. I checked the mirror. The glass was clear. Nothing there. No car. No lights. Mara leaned forward again, voice thin. "Don't look back," she said. "Not yet." We did not talk for a long stretch. Just road noise and the wipers and the soft click of the turn signal I had bumped and never noticed. I shut it off. The pause after the clicking stopped was loud. At the next mile marker, Mara spoke, voice low enough that I had to tilt my head to hear. "Your mother keeps her house too cold in winter, Lucas. You never say anything because she buys your favorite cereal, even though you are grown. You think that asking her to turn the heat up is like taking something back." My jaw clenched. I did not take my eyes off the road. Aaron turned to look at me, and I could feel her glance like pressure. Mara went on softer. "Aaron, you still have that postcard from the beach tucked behind the mirror. The one your sister sent when she was trying to make you feel included. You keep it there to remind yourself you do not need to be invited to have a life." Erin's hand shot to the visor without thinking, then fell back to her lap. She stared at the windshield as if it would give her a script. "How?" she began. Mara shook her head. "You told me. Later." A wet hiss passed under the tires as the road tipped toward a low bridge. The river below was a dark bar with no texture, like someone had cut the night with a mat knife. Mist rose off it and smeared across the beams. The guardrail wore scars of old crashes, gray scrapes, missing bolts, a twisted section with a bouquet of fake flowers zip-tied to the post. The flowers snapped in the windless air, like someone flicking them. We rolled over the bridge. The car's cabin pressure changed for half a breath, that ear pop you get when something is not sealed right. On the other side, the white dashes resumed. I let out a little laugh that had no humor in it. "This is insane," I said. It came out softer than I meant it to. "This is..." "Do not say it," Mara said. "Names make things tight around you. Keep your words small." The slap on the rear glass came again. One flat pop, like a suction cup pulled free. Aaron flinched. "What is that?" Her voice hitched halfway through the question. Mara's eyes were on the side mirror. She didn't blink. "They ride the wake," she said. They like the warmth. Who rides what now? I tried to joke. It did not land. She lifted a hand and pointed to the divider strip. Those little raised reflectors that make your tires chatter if you drift. You feel safer when the dashes thrum under your left tires, she said. You ignore the right shoulder because your dad told you once that trucks blow tires there, and you have pictured metal shards waiting for you your whole life. That is why they try the right. They think you won't feel them. I eased left without meaning to, like a puppet tugged by a string I did not know I had. Erin noticed. She put her hand lightly on my arm, grounding me. Look, she whispered. Something pale pulled away from the rear window and sank out of sight. Not a face, not a hole. Just the impression of 5 long smears with darker centers. Finger shapes. They had been pressed against the glass from the outside. Each line left a crooked, watery trail that bled down into the trunk seam. My stomach turned over. I flicked the rear wiper. It squealed over the glass and only made the streaks worse. Something pale pulled away from the rear window and sank out of sight. Not a face, not a hole. Just the impression of 5 long smears with darker centers. Finger shapes. They had been pressed against the glass from the outside. Each line left a crooked, watery trail that bled down into the trunk seam. My stomach turned over. I flicked the rear wiper. It squealed over the glass and only made the streaks worse. Mara's breath fogged a little oval on her side window. She leaned to it and whispered a word I could not catch. The fog thinned. The streaks on the rear glass faded as if embarrassed. She sat back and folded her hands again. Keep straight at the next split, she said. The right branch looks new and smooth, but the center has a dip that will pull your tires. The left has the rumble strip. That is your friend right now. Okay, I said, because arguing with someone who had just erased handprints off glass with a whisper felt like a waste of air. We hit the split. The left branch wove under an overpass where the concrete sweated and the darkness pooled. The right swept up toward a wide curve and new guardrails. I went left. As we dipped under the overpass, the radio lit up without power, no sound, just the display. A UX. The little equalizer bars climbed and fell to a beat we could not hear. A voice came through the blank speakers anyway. Not the radio, not the car. No static. Just a man talking in a calm, patient tone. Hazard up ahead, he said, as if reading off a script. Small red car, need a push, please exit. Please assist. My hand went cold on the wheel. The voice shifted, the way a person's voice shifts when they put a hand over the mic and talk past it. He's slowing, the voice said, in the same calm tone, to someone else. They picked one up. Do not spook them. Erin's nails bit my arm. Mara's face went empty like someone had erased her expression. The speakers went dead. The dash dimmed, then brightened. The equalizer bars froze and slid away. Nothing in the car had moved. We rolled out from under the overpass and back into open wet night. My lips were numb. Do not take the next rest stop, Mara said. Even if you have to pee so bad you are shaking, especially then. That is the trick. How do we get rid of them? Erin asked. You said they ride the wake. How do we shake them off? Mara did not answer at first. She put her palm on the glass near her head and left it there like someone checking for fever. When she spoke, her voice was smaller, younger. We don't, we trade. What? I said. She pulled in a thin breath. We give them something warmer. Like what? Erin's voice went sharp. Like me? Mara said, and smiled at the window, at her own fog print, like she was trying to make a joke that could hold us up. The smile didn't stay. She swallowed and added, quieter. You already did, last time. The road felt like it slipped under us sideways, as if the world did not agree which direction we were moving. I tightened my hands, blinked hard to clear the hot sting that was building behind my eyes. We are not trading you, Erin said, steel in her voice now. We are not. Mara nodded once. I know. That is why you will make it to the lights this time. What lights? I asked. The ones that look like a town, she said. but they go out when you get close. Ahead, past the black line of trees, a soft amber glow rose, low and hazy, like streetlights through fog. A town where none had been on the map. My scalp prickled. "They look like home when you are tired," Mara whispered. "They smell like coffee and bread. They are not. Do not turn in. Stay on the road. Follow the fence on the left until you see the billboard with the peeling dog food ad. Then you can breathe." I swallowed. "And then what?" "Then I get out," she said. Erin twisted halfway around in her seat. "Where?" "Right there." Mara lifted her chin toward the glow. At the edge, the cabin pressure shifted again. Another flat slap hit the rear glass. This time it did not fade. A second slap, a third. The air got sweeter, thick in my mouth, like syrup and warm plastic. My eyes watered. Erin coughed. "Hold the middle," Mara said, eyes on the road. "Do not flinch." The glow swelled. A green sign slid by. Welcome in a font that looked friendly and wrong. Beyond it, a gas station with all pumps lit and all screens blank. A diner with neon steaming off the windows. A little motel with a vacancy sign glowing steady. The lights looked normal. The buildings looked normal. But the spaces between them were empty, and the shadows pooled in puddles that did not reflect anything. Every window we passed held a shape. Not people, not mannequins. Just the suggestion of someone standing too close to the glass. The car's engine note went soft, like someone had stuffed cotton in the air intake. My foot pressed harder without meaning to. The white dashes slowed. The glow behind the town thickened like a wall of fog. "Fence," Mara said. "Left." There it was. A low wire fence, 3 strands, posts leaning, running parallel to the highway. Something dark snagged on one post fluttered in wind that was not there. A shirt? A plastic bag? My eyes refused to focus on it. "Billboard," Mara breathed. A tall rectangle loomed out of the glow. The dog on the ad once smiled with a mouthful of kibbles. Now the face had peeled and bubbled, the eye half missing. The wood showed through like bone. The letters read, "Good boy," and then a smear of nothing. "Now," Mara said and unclicked her belt. "Wait." Erin reached back without thinking. Mara's hand landed on Erin's wrist, warm and small. "Thank you," she said, "for stopping this time." Then the lights of the town winked off like somebody drew a line through a list. Gas station, dark. Diner, dark. Motel, dark. The only light left was our high beams and the thin smear of amber from far away. Real highway, the kind with exits and late trucks and bad coffee. I glanced at the mirror. The backseat was empty. The belt lay flat. The little wet crescent her jacket had left on the upholstery was already drying around the edges. A single hair clung to the fabric and lifted in the breath of the heater. Erin made a noise I have only heard once before when she got the phone call about her dad. I looked at the shoulder, half expecting to see a small shape walking in the rain. Nothing. Just the dark fence and empty field. A fourth slap hit the rear glass, then a fifth. Then something dragged long nails across the trunk lid, slow and deliberate, so that the car's metal sang like a low violin. "Drive," Erin whispered. I did. I kept us pinned at a steady 65, not too fast, not too slow. The glow in the mirrors thinned to a handful of distant truck lights. The sweetness in the cabin air faded like a bad taste you cannot place. The heater breathed normal again. The radio stayed dead. The wipers paced their dumb, helpful rhythm. We did not speak for a full mile. Then another. My eyes watered from the sting of everything that had just not happened. Erin wiped at her cheeks like she could brush the feeling off. Her voice failed and came back rough. "She just left." I nodded, because words felt big and clumsy. "Pull off," she said, the second word higher than the first. We need. She waved at the world. There was no exit for a stretch. Then a narrow turnout appeared on the right, one of those old maintenance loops that curve under the highway and back. I flicked the signal and eased toward it. The rear glass was a flat, black rectangle behind us. The sweet smell was gone. I told myself that meant we were clear. As our front tires crossed the white line toward the turnout, the speakers popped. Not music, not a voice, a pop like a finger on a mic. Then that calm male tone again, right ear close, patient as a teacher. "Now," he said to someone who was not us. A flood of light hit us from the right. Not headlights where headlights should be. Light from too low, too many, too wide. The turnout's little road exploded with white glare, as if the whole ground had opened and poured cars up out of it. Shadows jumped across the dash. Erin shrieked and grabbed the handle above her window. I yanked the wheel left and the car slewed, front tires shouting, rear tires scrabbling over painted lines. The light washed the cabin, too bright to see edges. For a heartbeat, the world was only white. Then it was dark again, like someone snapped a blanket. Our car fishtailed and settled. The turnout fell behind, empty as it had been. No cars, no lights. Just wet blacktop and a sign with graffiti over the arrow. Erin's breath rushed in and out. I could hear spit pop on her lips. She made herself slow it down. I forced my hands to relax one finger at a time on the wheel. They ached with the effort. "What would have happened if we turned?" she asked, quiet. I swallowed. My mouth tasted like pennies again. "We don't need to know." We stayed left of the white line and let the reflectors on the middle strip drum a thin safety under us. The road straightened. A green sign rose out of the dark. Real town names, real mileage. The kind of letters that settle your stomach. A rest area appeared with 2 vending machines lit behind clean glass. A short row of trucks dozing with marker lights winking. Bathrooms painted a color that wants to be cheerful. Technically safe. My body said no. Erin's did too. We both kept our eyes forward and let it slide by. Do we just keep going?" Erin asked. "Until sun," I said. It came out like a promise I needed to hear more than she did. "We'll find a regular diner. We'll eat something hot. We'll breathe." We drove. The cabin of the car felt bigger without a third heartbeat. I reached for the old habit of turning on the radio for comfort. My finger hovered over the power button and then dropped away. No. The first light in the east showed as a dirtier gray, a smudge, then a band. The wipers squeaked dry for the first time in an hour. The air smelled like wet fields and rubber, not like syrup or bleach or anything that sticks to the back of your eyes. That was when the rear wiper came on by itself. Erin and I both flinched as the blade dragged across the glass with a hollow squeal. Once, twice, 3 times. It left clean arcs through something I had not noticed. The arcs cut through a layer of dried prints. Dozens of them. Handprints. Not small like a child's. Long. Too long. Some pressed hard enough that the finger shapes overlapped the others, like people jostling at a window to see inside. The wiper stopped at the top of its sweep and froze, as if it had jammed on a wrist. I hit the stalk to shut it off. It stayed up. The motor hummed and clicked uselessly. I breathed a bad word. The blade dropped with a tired thump and lay still. We pulled into a 24-hour place right after sunrise. Not a chain. A squat building with a lineup of pickups and a hand-lettered sign promising real eggs. I cut the engine. The sudden silence hit hard. The heat ticked under the hood. A crow popped once on a fence post and tilted its head like it was trying to read us. We sat a full minute before either of us moved. Then we got out together. The air was cool against my face. My knees felt wrong from holding one position for too long. We walked around the back of the car because we had to. Because not looking is just another kind of looking. The glass was a mess of overlapping prints. Some were smeared, some crisp. The grease from them had dried pale and flaked at the edges, like the prints had been there a long time, and also like they had just arrived. In the middle, set apart from the rest, were 2 clearer hands. One at each corner of the bumper pressed down hard, like someone bracing to look under. Bigger than mine. Bigger than Erin's by far. Those 2 prints were clean enough that we could see ridge swirls, not hers, Erin said. She did not have to explain. Mara's hands were small, These weren't. I pulled the hem of my sweatshirt over my hand and wiped one corner of the glass. The print smeared and lightened but did not vanish. The grease had a smell when disturbed, sweet again like the inside of a cheap candy wrapper left in a hot car. My stomach turned. Inside the diner, the coffee was strong in the right way. People laughed in the right way. A kid cried because his pancake didn't touch his bacon. The details grounded me. We slid into a booth. Erin wrapped both hands around her mug and stared at the steam like it might spell something. When the waitress came, she set down 2 menus and a third without looking. Habit. She glanced up, saw there were only 2 of us, and ghost smiled an apology as she slid the extra menu away. Something about that simple, dumb adjustment hit me behind the ribs. I wanted to tell her about the highway, the prints, the lights that went out. I wanted to say Mara's name to make it stick somewhere safe. Instead, I asked for eggs and toast like a normal person. Erin did the same. We ate hot food that tasted like salt and butter and nothing haunted. The room clattered with forks and plates. I could hear the sizzle from the grill. That sound is ordinary. It is the opposite of the hush on the shoulder after midnight. When we walked back out, the sun had dried the glass. Most of the prints had paled enough to nearly vanish. The 2 big ones on the bumper stayed. Where my sleeve had smeared the corner, a faint palm shape remained, like someone had put their hand there harder after me. I took out my phone and snapped a picture even though I knew the camera would not catch what my eyes did. In the photo, it looked like dirty glass and reflected sky. That made it easier and worse. On the drive the rest of the way, we said her name once, just to agree that we would not argue about what had happened. Just to be sure we would both remember it the same. We do not pick up hitchhikers anymore. I still look, though. I cannot help it. Every time we pass a shoulder where the grass is pressed down and there is a bit of canvas showing at the edge, I keep my hands tight and my eyes forward. Erin squeezes my knee twice. That is our signal now. It means we both see it and we are both still choosing to drive. Sometimes in that hushed minute between 1 in the morning and 2, when the road gets thin and the world shrinks to whatever the headlights touch, I hear a light tap somewhere behind us. Not hard, not a slap, just a tap. Like a small hand remembering the shape of a car it used to know. I do not look back right away. When I finally do, the glass is empty. The wiper sits where it should. The night looks like a night. And the next green sign lists towns we have actually been to, with mile numbers that make sense. We made it to the lights. We kept going. We did not trade her this time. Texto Padron, but those 2 deep prints stayed in the dust for days. We washed them off at home with hot water and dish soap. They came back faint after the next rain, like the glass remembered. We scrubbed again. They faded. If I stand just right in the driveway at dusk and tilt my head so I catch the rear window at a low angle, I can still see them as a ghost of a smear. 1 at each corner. Fingers spread, holding on or holding us back. I choose the first when I can. On bad nights when I wake and the house is too quiet and the wind makes the siding click, I say her name into the dark and listen. Nothing answers. Good. When we drive past Oak Ridge, we stay in the left lane. We do not take the exit. We do not stop for a red coupe with its hood up. And when we see a small person in a soaked jacket by the shoulder, we keep going because we already did the one thing we could do for her. We stopped once. We listened. We learned how to avoid.